I'm an RN with a Bachelor of Science degree, and I got that in 1981. I was very dynamic. I was an ICU supervisor by the time I was 26. I was active in everything. And then when I was about 32, I started having really significant symptoms. And I lived in the Chicago area, so I went to Rush. I went everywhere. I went to Loyola. Nobody could figure out what was going on. So I went to Mayo Clinic in 1995, and Dr. Lucanetti said, "You have MS." And for many years, it was relapsing remitting. So I'd be fine for a while, and then I'd get really sick, for a matter of weeks or so, and have really scary symptoms. And then they would go away, and I would be normal. Nobody could tell I had this disease for a long time. And then about, I would say, 15 years ago or so, it just became so severe with my problems with walking, especially. That's especially my problem. Other things that I had over the years that came and went haven't stuck with me, but this disease is progressive. And so, I'm 61 now, had it 35 plus years, and now it's at the point where I have a really hard time walking. That's my main thing. Well, when I first was diagnosed, there were no medications for this disease. You just had to let it destroy you. There was nothing. But now there are about a dozen medications orally. I would say the medications have been developed over about the last 20 years or so. But some of the medications I take are ones that other people take with bladder issues. Since MS is in the brain, it can attack any organ, any system, just because it feels like it. And so I have a lot of issues with various body parts. I have specialists for all of those. And a lot of those medicines are on the regular formularies. Other people take them for similar issues without MS. Out of pocket per month, I have great insurance with my husband's employer, but out of pocket per month is $500 just for the regular medicines that other people take. The two MS medications that I'm on cost over $100,000 a year. Of that, I pay about $700-800 a year total out of pocket. The insurance is covering it. However, none of the MS medications are on the Medicare formulary at all. And I'm 61. And in a couple of years, I will have to just quit them. And the MS will progress because these medicines kind of stall the disease a bit, slow down the progression. And I know people who are over 65, they just have to quit it because there's no way out of pocket you could afford $100,000 plus a year for your prescriptions. There's just no way. So 44% of people with MS at any age don't take the medicines their doctors have prescribed because they just can't afford the out-of-pocket costs. So they just go on untreated and their disease just marches ahead a lot faster than the people who can have insurance like I do and afford it for now, for 4 more years. And then because it's not in the Medicare formulary, I'm just out. I just have to let the disease run its course. There's nothing I can do. At its peak, somebody with this disease who either can't afford the medicines to slow it down or stall it, or has to get off of them because of Medicare or they are uninsured or whatever. MS attacks the bowels, the bladder, the brain, your ability to walk, your ability to move. The more advanced cases of MS, they are wheelchair confined. Some people are bedridden. Some people can't swallow anymore. So MS is not noted as a fatal disease, but it is because it takes away critical functions that you need to survive. If you can't walk, you're in a wheelchair. If you're too sick for a wheelchair because your arms also don't work and you're bedridden, from a medical standpoint, we learned about what's caused the hazards of immobility. So if you're immobile, like you're bedridden for whatever disease or reason, you are prone to bed sores, you are prone to infections, you are prone to all kinds of terrible things on top of it. And a lot of people die from the things on top of being immobile rather than the root cause. But what this looks like if you're not on the medicines is you are in a wheelchair or you are bedridden because your brain no longer can send signals to your arms, to your legs, to your swallowing mechanism, to your breathing mechanism. Wherever the disease decides to form what's called a plaque in your brain, wherever that plaque forms, that ability is gone. And they are trying to develop medicines for people in the later stages to destroy plaques, etc. It's worked in mice, but the money hasn't been there to further the research enough so that we can see if we can help humans with advanced stages of the disease. All the medicines are for people in earlier stages, and they didn't come along till I'd had this disease a really long time. So I'm afraid. I'm afraid of being wheelchair bound. I'm afraid of being bedridden. I'm afraid of dying. And that fear is magnified when I think about not being able to afford these medicines. And a lot of people can't. Them to know that part of the problem of the expense is pharmacy benefit managers, which I only learned about last year because I went to the MS Public Policy Conference in Washington, D.C., and we spoke to Congress and the Senate about price of drugs, making drugs inaccessible to people. I'd like them to know that I think pharmacy benefit managers, which are not regulated, and which Wisconsin hasn't even tried to regulate, many states have. I could email you a couple articles I found on which states have. Wisconsin hasn't even tried to regulate them, number one. And number two, we need to get the MS drugs on the Medicare formulary. We want to live longer than 65, like a lot of other people. And okay, so I can't walk very well. I would like to stall out where I am right now. Where I am right now is bad enough. But if those drugs aren't on the Medicare formulary in 4 years, it's going to be terrible.